Hello there, and welcome to the Bubbles Gaming Channel. I am X, and this video is Alts and Add-ons. So, when I'm watching other streamers and stuff like that, I have generally two big questions that come to mind. The first one is about the character that they're actually playing, somewhat the player. So, how much experience do they have? How is their character geared? Those types of things. And my second thing that I always look at is their UI. How do they have their UI set up to give them all of the information that they need while they're playing? And a little bit about the add-ons that they're using. So those tiny or huge quality of life improvements that just make a big difference in their game. So I'm going to walk through a couple of those things in this video so that if these types of questions come up while you're looking at my next videos, that you can always come back to this one and see what's going on. So first up is alts. I use that word, I probably shouldn't. So I don't really have any alts. What I have are 12 mains. I wasn't always that way. I picked up World of Warcraft in about mid-Cataclysm, and I wanted a Death Knight. That's what I wanted. Couldn't make one because I wasn't at a high enough level, so I made a hunter, and I leveled that hunter to 55, and within a minute of having that level 55, I made a Death Knight, and here she is, and she has been with me ever since. So I mained my Death Knight. She was my only character. In Mist of Pandaria, I made one of a huge mistake. I mean, it was fun, but it was a big mistake. I challenged my brother to race to level 90. So we both started a level 1 Pandaren monk, and we raced to level 90. That is 7 days of my life that I will never get back, but here he is. He is right here. I've got him up to 110 now. So monk was my main in Mist of Pandaria, and my Death Knight was my main alt. While I was playing in Mist of Pandaria, I realized that I always wanted access to something different. I was constantly watching different streamers, seeing the different capabilities, and I just wanted to try different things. So I just made one of everything and slowly started leveling, just working on them and going through. And I played all the way through Mist of Pandaria like that. Warlords of Draenor dropped, and I played that for a while. I got all of my characters to the point where they had the garrison, and I think that's what ruined Warlords of Draenor for me. I every day was trying to go through and do all the garrison stuff on all of my characters, and it just became so much that I had to maintain, and I couldn't keep up. I wasn't progressing. I was just so stagnant, it kind of killed me. I also had a change of jobs and that kind of stuff, so I took about a year off. Maybe it was a little bit more in the middle of Warlords of Draenor, and then I picked WoW back up, actually kind of on accident, the day before the Legion pre-patch launched. And I've been playing it hot and heavy ever since. So I used the Legion invasions to level all my characters to 100, so that as soon as I got into Legion, I would have them all available. So you can see I've leveled 7 of them, 8 of them, most of them to 110. A couple other ones are still lagging behind. So when I'm going through and I'm playing on these different characters, none of them are well geared. I think with the hours that I put into the game as a whole, somewhere above casual, but each of my individual characters are definitely only casually played. My one character that has the highest item level is my paladin. I haven't really played him that much more than any of my other characters, but at the same time, I guess RNG favors the divine, so he is my best geared character. The one thing, I guess a little bit of foreshadowing, the one trend here that I guess you can see is that I have all 6 tanking classes up to level 110, and they vary from my paladin, who I said is at an 840 something, all the way down to my monk and my warrior that are sitting at 775 and 776, so brand new 110s. I'm really enjoying tanking. I'm really enjoying the 5-man content, so I'm hoping my first couple of videos are going to be kind of working through my different tanks, working through a couple of different dungeons, just to kind of show off the different aspects of the different tanks and kind of how I tank. So those are my characters, and that's kind of their background and where I'm coming from. So nobody's terribly geared. I guess some of them are terribly geared, but none of them are crazy over geared. I'm not in a progressive raid guild by any means. I'm not part of their raid team, just because I like to play all the different characters too much. I can't focus on a single one. So I'm actually going to log in here on my warrior so that I can talk through my UI and my add-ons. So as soon as I get in, you'll see that my UI is drastically different than the stock one, and that's because of Elv UI. It's the big thing that I use. You have to get that directly from the Elv UI website. I'll put a link in the description to that. And it is a complete UI makeover. It allows you to move and change everything about it. So just a second. So you can see here, so you can add things, delete things, you can resize, reshape, recolor everything on your screen here within Elv UI, and I find it fantastic. I'm not going to go too far into it, but typically I start with, there is a stock minimalist that comes with the Elv UI. That's generally where I start. It's, well, minimalist. It has as few things on the screen as possible. It spaces them all out, and then I just kind of move things in, add things as I find. One of the tough things for me is having 12 mains is I need to have the different information accessible, but on all the classes and all the specs. So I'm still coming through on a couple of the classes trying to figure out where things best are. So for the add-ons themselves, I use Curse. So I go through the Curse website and I use the Curse client. Like I said, Elv UI, you have to get directly from them. I'll also put a link to the Curse website here. So just a quick run through on my add-ons. Atlas Loot, I've had it downloaded. I haven't really used it in Legion. It was really valuable in the last expansions. I find it a lot tougher to deal with now with the Titan forging system. Changes in eye levels completely changes around the way that loot is given, so not nearly as valuable as it used to be. Auctioneer is an auction house add-on. It gives you some extra information about your items that you have in your bags. It allows you to scan the auction house. You can keep track of trending items. If you like to, if you're an herbalist or if you're a miner, then you can go through and you can find, high times to sell and low times to buy and those types of things. So overall, pretty powerful if you really get into it. I haven't been getting into it that much in Legion. I haven't got to the point where I'm just farming things because I'm still trying to get through my leveling. Bean counter comes with the auction house. Bug grabber here, and there's a couple of other ones. These are to catch Lua errors. So with the number of add-ons that I have, you do get Lua errors, and they pop up, and if you don't have something like bug grabber, they will come up in the middle of your screen and just annoy everything that's going on, because you'll be in the middle of a boss fight and one of your add-ons won't like a tag on one of the enemies and it just throws a fit. So that guy, the bug grabber, will pull it off to the side, keep it off to the side so that you can continue what you're doing, and then you can look at it later to figure out what it's thrown off. Click is a very powerful add-on. I downloaded this when I was trying to heal with my Disc Priest the other day. It allows you to... It basically gives built-in mouse over macros to just being in a party or just mousing over somebody's raid frame. It allows you to cast your spells without ever changing your overall target, which is fantastic for a Disc Priest, because I can stay in my DPS rotation, stay targeted on the boss, and then I can just drop heals or drop atonements on my party members so that I can keep them healed while I'm doing that damage. Decursive, I downloaded because I was going to try to heal, and I've kept it on all my characters, because even in my years of playing, I never realized how many times, even just in leveling, you get debuffed, and how many different characters have the ability to clear those debuffs. So this, what you do, it just pops up with this little guy right here, this little thing, and if you have a debuff that your character can clear in one way or another, you just gotta click on it, and it'll cast that spell on whatever character you choose to click on. Move out, lower the background noise just a little bit. So I use it actually quite a bit now. Daily Global Check, I like this one. This is a new one that I picked up in Legion. It adds some annotations to your minimap up here that I really like. So it will give the loot data and the location for all the Legion rares, If there is a way that you have to like activate that rare to show up, it'll show you what that is. The treasure chests show you where all the treasure chests are. It tells you what's in the treasure chests, and if they're like under a tree or in a cave, it'll tell you that. And if it's in a cave, it'll even show you where the entrance to that cave is. So it makes it really easy to go around and find all the treasure chests. World quests, I use a different add-on, so I probably shouldn't even have this one on right now. Enchantrix, both of these come with the Auctioneer add-on, so it just makes some of that stuff a little bit easier. GTFO. So this is one that I downloaded kind of on a whim because I liked the name, I found it amusing, but I cannot play without GTFO anymore. It is loud, obnoxious, and annoying. It makes this like alarm clock noise whenever you are standing in stuff that is hurting you. I cannot stress enough how important this is, especially now with all the different AoE annotations all over the place, the different classes. You know, you're in a raid setting, you've got the mushrooms out, you've got healing rain on you, you've got a concentration up, and all these different things. Meanwhile, there's this little tiny puddle of green goo in the middle of it somewhere that you can't see. GTFO will let you know the moment you are in that little puddle of green stuff, and you just know to get out. This has saved me more times than I can count. It's awesome. Identity 2 is good for a guy like me that has as many mains. You can change what your name is basically in chat. So regardless of who I'm at, regardless of which character I'm playing, when I'm in guild chat, it just pops up with X, so that they know regardless of what character I'm on, it's me. Informant comes with the Auctioneer. Kib Quests mods, I really like this one. It's a very simple indicator. It's a blue exclamation point or a red exclamation point over quest mobs. So if you're on a quest, you can see from a distance. You don't have to click on them and look at their nameplate and look at the tooltip to see that they're a part of the quest you're on. You can see it right over the bad guy. OmniCC is something that's kind of built into LVUI. I don't mess around with the settings myself, but it allows you to adjust the cooldown, the way the cooldown is represented on your icons. So it can be a number, or it can be the typical like clock style cooldown, those things. Pawn is something that I use. Pawn is something that I use because I have so many mains. It allows me to put in strings that will help me calculate, or it does the calculation, doesn't help me do anything, but it, in a percentage format, tells me if a piece of gear that just dropped is an actual upgrade. It may be maybe a higher eye level, but it's not necessarily an upgrade as far as your stat priority goes. So this is a really quick one-stop shop to let you know, yeah, you should put that on, or no, don't worry about it. Personal loot helper, I saw some guys in some of the content that I do that have this, and I actually really like it. I have received a lot of trades in content in pugs because of the personal loot helper. With the way they do personal loot in pugs, you can trade it now. So personal loot helper will just pop up with an explanation. It'll say that this person got this drop and it's a lower item level than what they're currently wearing. And this is an item level, so item level, not necessarily stat, but item level upgrade for the following people. So it just really lets everybody know. So when you get that drop that's an 835 and you're wearing an 845, you're like, all right, whatever, I'm just going to throw it away later or sell it. It just kind of prompts you, and it's like, hey, there's 2 other guys here with you that can use that. So I've got quite a few trades with it, so I try to use it so that other people can have that same opportunity. Regular tab just sets it back to the pre-Legion tab. I'm used to it. I don't want to get used to the new tab targeting, so I have that. Rotation builder I'm going to come back to. That's going to be the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video. SCADA is a DPS meter, but you can use it for all these different things here. You can track a lot of different things. It's pretty lightweight. It doesn't use a lot of your computer power, so I like it. There's a lot of different not necessarily add-ons, but plugins for it as well. So I have the avoidance and mitigation. It has been upgraded for 7.1 yet. It's still on 7.03, so I can't use it. But this one, this DPS plus heals per second, that one's actually really good for like a blood DK. It's awesome. You can keep track of the damage you're doing and how much self-healing you're doing in one simple line, and it's also really good for the Disc Priest. These 3 came with Auctioneer. I don't really know what to do. Weak Ore is 2. This is a very powerful add-on. It is amazing. I don't play with it that much. It came with LVUI. It's kind of built into some of the aspects of LVUI. When you are playing, or when I'm playing, you'll see buff timers and debuff timers show up on yourself and your target. Those are all weak aura things, but you can set up weak auras to do any number of things. It can modify your cast bars. You can do straight timer bars. You can do icons that'll just pop up when an ability is off cooldown to remind you to put that shield back on the tank and those types of things. So very powerful. There's a lot of really good videos out there that are really good walkthroughs on how to use weak auras. World Quest Tracker is a good way to, shows a condensed format for world quests when you open up your map. So it'll just show up like a line of all of the quest rewards. So then you can click on that and it'll automatically add that quest to your active quest, which is good. Zygor guides. So I use Zygor guides. I have since I picked up the game. I think within the first couple of months of picking up the game, I purchased Zygor guides. So it is a pay-for service. I use it. I love it. It has a lot of capabilities, a lot of opportunities for leveling yourself, leveling professions, for achievement hunters or pet hunters or mount hunters, if you want all the titles and reputations and all those types of things. It's got a guide for everything. And it also has the Legion dailies, so the world quest. It's kind of nice. So you can open up the Legion dailies one, and then you go into your map, you click on a world quest, and it'll automatically load the Zygor guide for that world quest. So I will say that it doesn't interact well with the world quest tracker. For some reason, with both of those installed, I guess when you click on it in the world quest tracker, it doesn't activate the same way as clicking it in normal map, so it won't turn on the Zygor thing. Small problems, not a real big deal. LVUI I already talked about. A deadly boss mod. So this is another one that I think is absolutely mandatory. I don't care if you play with complete stock UI, you don't want any of this crap, you don't want all these add-ons all over the place. Deadly boss mods is absolutely essential. It is huge for 5-man content, for pugs, for real rate, for, I don't want to say real rating, but for progressive rating. You need some sort of boss encounter helper. There's big wigs, little wigs, I can't remember all of them. There's a couple other ones out there. I like deadly boss mods. It's pretty nice. It's saved me a lot, when I'm on my hunter and I'm just sitting in the back just slinging arrows at the big boss and just kind of like fading out here and there. It pops up with a big alert and tells me, oh crap, I'm supposed to stack for this phase, or I'm supposed to spread out for this phase, or I can help the healers out because he's about to use a huge ability and I can pop my own defensive cooldown, those types of things. So DBM, absolutely essential. I don't play without it. So the last thing that I want to cover in this one is Rotation Builder, because you will see it in all of my videos that I'm going to play with. And depending on who you talk to and how you look at it, rotation assistance add-ons, I don't know, some people could call it cheating, I don't know. I have 12 mains. I cannot keep track of all 36 specs and their DPS rotations or their mitigations and those types of things. So I need some sort of assistance when I'm swapping around all the time. I used to use Spell Flash. It was fantastic. I think all the way through Mists of Pandaria. It started to fall apart in Warlords of Draenor. The guy that was building it stopped making the individual specs and classes for it. So for a long time, I had been looking for another option. And then I found Rotation Builder. And I find this fantastic. And the best part about it is fully customizable. So I don't look at it like I am just relying on someone else to tell me what my DPS rotation is. You can set it up any way you want. It comes with stock rotations for every spec and every class. So when you load it up, there is a stock rotation that you can go by, and you can do OK DPS. And what it does is it pops up these two little buttons. You can't interact with them, so it's not like a one-click rotation thing. You can't just keep clicking on it and it's automatically going to do the next thing. You actually have to think about it. You have to know what the spells are and when to actually use them. But you can customize the way that it's set up. So like Fury or Arms or any of the straight DPS specs is a straight DPS rotation, and that's all it is. So I'm on my protection spec right now, so the stock thing that comes with it is basically a DPS rotation for the protection warrior. So it will help you put down DPS, and then as a tank, you should be aware of your surroundings, aware of the encounter, so that you can use your active mitigation appropriately to defend yourself against the boss or the mob pack that you're in the middle of. With certain specs like the warrior, where you're trying to maintain maximum uptime on ignore pain or shield block, with my druid, where I'm trying to maintain maximum uptime on my iron fur, I have worked those into the rotation so that it reminds me this is coming off cooldown, you need to hit it now, so that you can maintain that minimum level of mitigation. But the bigger cooldowns, right, shield wall, last stand, those types of things, I don't work those into the rotation. I find those very difficult to work into a rotation, because if you take a big hit and you drop down to 30% health, it's just going to pop up, and it's going to prompt you to immediately use all of your giant cooldowns at the same time. You can set it up so that it shouldn't do that, but there is a certain amount of my gameplay that I can do myself without assistance. So I have it set up so that if you don't have a target, it doesn't show, so that it's not always my way. But if you have any target, so either the enemy or myself, it'll show you theoretically what this spell, what the button you should be pushing right now is, and what the next button you're going to push. This second button is rarely correct. It gives me an idea of the next kind of big spell that is going to come up once I meet the requirements to do so. But it's pretty impressive. It looks relatively simple, but once you get into the modify, you can see that there's a lot of other aspects. So pummel is the warrior's interrupt. So rotation builder is why my numbers, when I look at Scada at the end of a dungeon, why I have 3, 4, 5 times as many interrupts as most of the other people. Not demon hunters, because they have to, because it helps out with their rage and pain generation. So they're really good about interrupting. But it constantly reminds me to interrupt every time the enemy is casting something that can be interrupted. This will pop up with pummel. I took shockwave as a talent choice, so I have that set up. So when the target is casting something that is interruptible, this is going to be my top priority. So regardless of where I am at in my rotation, it will always pop pummel and shockwave above all else because of those, because they're the top two and they're interrupts. So then you just go through, and I have it set up. So these are the priorities. They're all based on different things. You can set them up any way you want. So you can have it so that it'll check its own cooldown. You can have it so it'll check another cooldown. You can let it know that it costs a certain amount of power. So this is never going to recommend that I use Impending Victory if I don't have 10 rage. What it will also do is, because this costs 10 rage, is that if in less than 1 global cooldown I can generate 10 rage, it's going to tell me to wait to get that 10 rage to use Impending Victory rather than something else. I don't know if I said that right, but it does a whole lot of back calculations all in the background, and it just really helps with that DPS rotation. For me, when I'm playing 36 different specs and run around and constantly trying new things, this is an extremely valuable add-on for me. And like I said, I kind of justify it to myself, one, because I play so many different classes, but two, because it is customizable. So generally I'll get on, I'll hit 110, and then the first thing I do is I go to the interwebs and I find Noxic, Icy Veins, Wowhead, all the big sites that help you out with rotation ideas and talent builds, and I'll come in here and I'll just tweak it, change it, move it around, add things, subtract things. One that is missing from most of them is actually your artifact ability, so that's something you'll have to add in if you want. With the warrior, I don't want that one in there. You know, it's on a 45-second cooldown. I can use it a lot, but that's one of those active mitigation things that I want to use on my own time. So that sums up my add-on. So like I said, I was trying to just give a quick introduction to where my characters are coming from, kind of what level they're at when you see my videos, so none of them are terribly overpowered. And then I wanted to go through my UI so that if those questions come up, you can come back, you can take a look at this. So like I said, Elv UI, you have to go to their website. All my other add-ons are through Curse. And with that, I'm going to sign off. So this is X with the Bubblez Gaming Channel, and I am out.